Ralph got a haircut, he's all excited. Well, he keeps going, It's a sign to all of us, there's more work for us to do. I understand Ash Wednesday begins Lent, but considering I said Mass for you last Saturday, and I'm saying Mass for you this Saturday, and I have a very discombobulated, disjointed, very tangential homily, I think Lent begins right now for you. Okay? And try to pay attention. You know, I always said, on Christmas, I hope you see It's a Wonderful Life. I hope you see the movie. You have to watch it. You have to get, I don't know the exact timing. I can time it for you. Maybe next Christmas I'll time it for you. You can challenge me. You've got to watch it for at least, I want to say, 20 minutes or 15 before you start crying. You can't just turn on the big climactic scene and cry. You got to have some emotional involvement with it, okay? You know what I'm talking about. Those who don't know what I'm talking about, figure out what I'm talking about. It's a deeply moving movie. Now, I used to say the same thing about The Notebook. And if you've not seen The Notebook, again, it's not the, I'm just saying. I thought the same thing about The Notebook. Today I found out it's not true. You could turn The Notebook on in the most climactic scene, which is when James Gardner, who plays the husband, whose wife has Alzheimer's, has his own health conditions, goes to the hospital, he gets out, and he misses his wife, and he wants to go see her in this very specialized nursing home. And the nurse stops him. You know you can't go see her, but I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go downstairs and get a cup of coffee, and I'll be down there for a while. But don't you go see her, Mrs. Ellie. Well, she set him up. She knows he's a romantic, and she just gave him the green light. So he goes in there. I'm not going to cry right now because this is being recorded, so I got to put on my other voice. But anyway, it's so beautiful. I see it in nursing homes all the time, not on Sandals commercials. I see it in nursing homes. So she wakes up and she has a slight bit of a memory comes back, and she says immediately, "Where were you?" And he's just so touched. He's like, "I got sick," and he says, "I'm back." And then she says, "I wrote this down." She says, with tears in her eyes, "Do you think our love can create miracles?" Then she says, "Do you think our love can take us away together?" It's powerful. And then she says, "What will you do when I can't remember anymore?" You know what he says? It says the same thing Jesus says to us all the time. And if you have a spouse who says this to you, you have a treasure that's inestimable. I will be here. I will always be here. It's awesome. I told the kids, one of the youth she saw Notebook, the other three didn't see it. But love has been the word, the emotions, the experience has so been grafted on a new cultural mentality. To me, that's what love looks like. That's sacrificial, that's covenantal. Is that a word? It's covenant. It's a total self-giving. When you take care of your sick and aging parents, when you take care of your spouse, your sick kid, you got a friend you go visit, and you're consistent. The nursing home, those who've been communing to the sick. Every time the people have been communing to the sick, I say a prayer over them. May God give you the same reward you're bringing to someone else. Okay, I did my movie review. We can lose this piece of paper. Let's move this piece of paper. Okay, and we're going to try to read it. Okay, for the record, my mom sent me a Valentine, and last night I went out with my Valentine. I want to make this public. We had dinner together. It was Monsignor Hermes. We had dinner together, and it was very nice. And I mentioned someone's name at the earlier Mass, a woman's name, who sent me a card. It wasn't a Valentine's Day card. It was right close to Valentine's. But she said, and I counted it today. I went back and counted it. She wrote 30 words to me. 30 uplifting, positive words to this young priest, this middle-aged, whatever age I am, priest. And she basically says, I come to Mass in the morning, you lead me closer to Christ, there's nothing else I want. Thank you very much, nice lady who wrote me a card. You and I can do inestimable more work to encourage other people. Don't look over there. Meredith wrote me a card for Christmas with her husband. I just took the time. I saved it. You know, when I was a new priest, they told me to save those things. I never did. I had so much juice in being a priest. And when I started saving, like 5 years ago, I haven't gone back to read them anymore. It affects us. It affects you. And you can affect others. It's true and it's positive. Now I have a horrible story. All these tears and goodness, I'll tell you a horrible story. Yesterday I had to go to a funeral for a 53-year-old man who took his own life. The chief of detectives who retired in Rockford. And listen, for those of you who are chasing dollars, he had a full pension. He had a full-time job at 53. Had a beautiful wife. He built a new home. Obviously, depression's bigger than all of that. And it was a sad, sad, sad funeral. It's still sad, sad, sad to me. I married him, and he got married in the church. I was the priest. We got along. He was a wonderful man. He solved all these murders. He was the chief of detectives, chief of homicide. So I'm telling you this because I went there, and at the last moment, 2 points. I finally approached the wife, Cheryl. I finally approached her at the end of this big ceremony with the color guards and the folding of the flags, the Irish bagpipes. And I went over to her and I just grabbed her hands, and she grabbed me and she hugged me and she was crying, obviously. And she said, in the midst of all of this, I'm glad to see you. I'm glad you're here. You can make a difference. Then I went to the luncheon. When Senior ribbed me, he said I went for the free food. No, I wanted to show my face. People were appreciative. I don't think you and I get it, especially the core of the Christian community, who we are, of the effect we have on other people. All your kids who don't go to church, you know they know you're going to church. You know they know it's important to you. We got to do more in our faith. So let's go to the last point before we do the first point. This guy gets healed of leprosy. How does he get healed of leprosy? Jesus touches him. You heard the story. If you read it before Mass, I get really excited for you. Because you can do more in detailed meditation and do your own taking apart the scriptures and what does it mean to you personally. But you know what he did? Jesus swore him to secrecy. But he didn't do that, did he? And you know why he didn't? You know why Jesus swore him to secrecy? Because he had to get to the Eucharist. He had to get to the Last Supper. He didn't want people finding out before their time. But he couldn't help it. He had such pity for people, such love, such compassion. We love our Jesus. Oh, and the whole Islam thing, this is being recorded, this thing. Billy Graham's kid said it best. And if you got to go Google it and see what he said regarding the Prince of Peace and how Islam as a movement started. We were persecuted for the first 300 years of our faith. That's not how the other religions started. They're not the same. Don't conflate one into the other. I'm so proud of our Jesus. He has such compassion on the fallen. Yes, scream it out. On the hurt, on the alienated. So what does this guy do? He says, go show yourself to the priest. On the way there, the guy's healed. He goes, go show yourself to the priest, because leprosy was such an awful, not just medical condition, it also meant you had a moral condition. You were not just ousted from the community because we might catch leprosy. You must have done something to God. That's how the Jews thought very often. A physical ailment, was like a blindness, was often related to a moral condition. Okay? So this guy is on the outs. So he gets healed. The priest will bring him back into the community. The priest, looking at the guy and examining him, will usher him back into the community. He'll get his status back. He won't be isolated, alienated. And what does the guy do? He shares his story. He tells everybody, if I have one thing for you to the day I die and breathe my last breath, will you please tell someone about your faith? Will you please? Can you at least share your story? Listen, I love this job. I love my life. I get up here, I can preach till 7 o'clock. Just give me a glass of water and keep ringing those bells. You know I can. You know what, though? Seriously, so what? You got to do the preaching. You got to do the inviting. You got to do the hard work and tell somebody just about your experience with Jesus. It's so important. We had a 3-day conference, the priest and I, in Fontana. Wonderful time. And the speaker was a very gifted priest, Michael Schmitz. And his whole talks for 3 days was all about being a better disciple and discipling others. And it's not just for priests. It's for us. I was so touched. I went to my coffee club Thursday, and I went to confession to the whole group. I said, I want to go to confession to you guys. They're like, what's the matter with this guy? I mean, they'd said that before, too, as well. So it wasn't new to them. I said, I want to go to confession. What's your confession? I don't talk about Christ enough. I don't bring you to Christ enough. And I said, Dave, you got to go to church. Follow away Catholic. Get yourself over here. And they came to my defense. They said, Father, if you were not here, we would not talk about Jesus at all. We would talk about what men talk about. Sports, stocks, I don't know what they talk about. Women. That's what they talk about. So, I confessed. I fessed up. Are you going to fess up? Will you fess up? If you died right now and stood before the Lord, He asked you, did you do what was in your power to disciple other people? You know what the answer is, and I'm not here to shame you. You know what the answer is. So that's the goal of every single one of my homilies, to motivate you. I can't believe I'm going to say this. To be a little bit more like me. And you don't have to do it my way. Remember, that was the theme song of All Those to Go to Hell. Frank Sinatra's My Way. Hope you get that joke. I did it my way. No, don't do it my way, but do it. You must. Okay, we're almost done. Not. A few more points here. Where are they at? The leper's evangelization. The leper touched Jesus is a great line. I came up with this one on my own. See if you come up with it. So you know the story. A leper came to Jesus and kneeled down, begged Him and said, if you wish to be made clean, if you wish, you can make me clean. Moved with pity, stretched out His hand and touched him. Ready for this move? I got this on my own. I'm all excited. Dun, 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 dun. Father, why do you pray and read the gospel every day? Because every once in a while I get an insight that I think is awesome. It was awesome for me. Jesus didn't touch him. The leper touched Jesus. Jesus was moved by this man. The guy was exiled. Jesus knows about exile. The Jewish people were exiled. This man was isolated. He knows about it. Wrongly accused. Keep going. I got a bunch of his pain, his suffering, his loneliness, his cry for help. Our Jesus rocks. So yeah, Jesus touched him. Jesus was first touched by the guy. All the teenage girls, usually girls, boys too. You don't understand me. You don't. Be quiet. Stop. Of course He knows. He knows everything. He's carried the sins of the world. He who knew no sin. I like that line. You're not as impressed as I am, but I like that line. It's always the focus is on Jesus healing the leper. The leper touched Jesus. Jesus is like, wow. The sorrow. Look at the poor pastor. He's like Simon and I on steroids when it comes to dealing with people's misery and pain. He is. Do you know how many people's woundedness he carries around with him? Do you know how many burdens the people of this parish carry that he helps shoulder? Think about Jesus. How many burdens Jesus shoulders? How much love, compassion, goodness, kindness, concern, footprints in the sand. Love your Jesus. Okay, next insight, which if you didn't like that one, you won't like this one. The guy knelt down and asked Jesus, if you want to make me clean, make me clean. He willed it. This is just me talking. Jesus, knowing no sin, became sin. Jesus became a spiritual leper for us. In the story, the guy knelt down. Jesus flew down. The Son of God, excuse me, the Son of God. God, in a sense, metaphorically, knelt down. He humbled Himself. He took on our frail human nature. In all ways but sin. He carried leprosy, spiritual leprosy here, and He killed it. God, you know that, right? Jesus killed death in His death. I'm a Christian. I'm not afraid of death. I don't want to go sooner than I have to, but we're not afraid of death. And we don't grieve the same way. We grieve with a hope that will not be disappointed. 2 more points and I'll leave you alone. And you can begin Wednesday your Lent. Next one. We all know this. The leprosy is an example of our spiritual condition. I'll be the first one to tell you. Inside my soul is some spiritual leprosy. Hopefully only venial spiritual leprosy. But we all got it. We all have a condition that's known as sin. And all of us standing up before the love of God, the blood of the cross, have something to fess up to. What did Jesus tell the guy? Show yourself to the priest. Don't be afraid. Some people come to me and say, Father, outside confession, we don't want to go to you or Father Simon or Monsignor Dan. Fine. Some people are whatever, sensitive that way. Go to another priest. I told you, I went to Father Joe Kaiser before he died. He had early onset Alzheimer's. By the time I was done, he had no idea who I was. But this you must do. Nobody runs a company without periodic evaluations. No one does a sporting event without having metrics to judge how well you're doing. But there's too many core Catholics who do the once a year song and dance. Come on with that. Try that with your car in Chicago or in our neighborhood with all the salt. Just wash your car once a year. See how that works. See what the car dealer says to you. See what your insurance company says to you. Just wash your car once a year. What do we do? Change your oil once a year. See how that works out for you. You know where I'm going with this. But I'm pushing you. I got to for some of you. Do it. Do it. This guy said, if you want to make me clean, I got to challenge you. Do you want to be made clean? Do you want to? You know this by now. You know this. Tons of people do not share this communion with us this evening because they don't want to change. It's nothing we've done. It's nothing I've said. They just don't want to change. They want to live with sin and their lifestyle. They don't want to fess up. They don't want to take responsibility. They don't want to be honest. Why don't I talk to a priest? Why don't I talk to a priest? That's how God set it up. Why did God send an angel to the Blessed Virgin Mary? Why didn't God just talk to her directly? There's mediation in pretty much everything. Having said that, please give God permission. Give God, Lent's starting on Wednesday. What a beautiful opportunity. We got Mass at 12:10. Confession, confession, confession. Evangelization. Give God permission to to act. Ask, want, desire to be made clean. Mean it with true intention and genuine urgency from your heart. My friends, I pray for you as you, I hope, pray for me, that during this Lent, God will give God permission to make us the best version of ourselves.